record this so I can send this out. And I'll do this from time to time when people are gone. All right? I probably should have done it more. With the new projector, the new setup, I had to buy the Doceri. It's $30. I had to buy that to be able to record and that. So the first thing that we start out with is matter. And that's a real easy definition. It's anything that has mass and takes up space. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's pretty much anything. You know, we talk about energy. Energy is a little separate than matter, but that's pretty much about anything. So anything you come in contact with that has those two characteristics would be considered matter. And for chemists, they take a deeper meaning. So we can just go say, okay, if that's matter, what kind of matter is it? So we can break that down into a pure substance. Well, pure substance is really specific. And pure substances have a fixed composition. Or they can say a definite composition. So fixed or definite composition. Okay. There's two types of substances that fit in that category. And you guys told me that one of them's an element. Okay? And the other one's a compound. So when you look at these, they have fixed composition, defined composition. All right? So what about an element? Consists of only one type of atom. Okay, only one type of atom makes up elements, and there's about 90 of them. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and give an atom down here, a real quick definition for that, since that is one of the terms that you have to know a little bit about. It's the simplest particle of an element. Okay? So, nothing real too difficult. We know that elements have to be made up of a specific type of atom that is identified with that element. It has the properties of those elements. We could take that out further and make it a little bit better definition and say the simplest part of an element with the same physical and chemical properties of that element. I'm not going to do that. It's just the simplest particle of an element. Okay? Now, a compound is made up of atoms. So it's when atoms of elements are chemically bonded. In a set ratio. It looks like M, but that's ratio. Okay? So form when atoms chemically bond in a set ratio. What do we mean by a set ratio? H2O, 2 hydrogens, 1 oxygen. Carbon dioxide, CO2, 1 to 2. Sugar, C6H12O6. Okay? Those are compounds. They're chemically bonded together. So any questions about pure substances? Now, how do you, if I give you an assignment, which I'm going to give you, and it's just going to be completion, how do you differentiate between an element and compound? What do you have to do? If I say, I'm going to give you something, and you go, well, I think that's an element. What would you what would you look at to know if it's an element or not? Periodic table, right? That's the only elements we have. We can't make up any elements. Right? That's what we have. So you would get your periodic table out or look at the periodic table and go, oh, yeah, there is silver. Yeah, it is an element. Oh, there's gold. Yeah, that's an element. Okay? But if you look brass up, and you go, wait a second, there's no brass on the periodic table. Well, that can't be an element. Or if I look bronze up, bronze. Nope, no bronze. So that's not an element. At least you can say it's not an element. Maybe you don't know what it would be other than that, but it's not an element. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay? So then we have mixtures that we can look at. So we got these things called mixtures. And there's two types of mixtures. Okay? So the question is, what's a mixture? It's when two or more substances are physically combined. They're not chemically combined. That means you can separate them out without a chemical means. Okay, the AP class, I've got a new lab form. I've got sugar and I've got calcium carbonate. Okay, so these are the two things that I have. All right, and what they have to do is they have to do some pre-tests, and they have to test to see if one heats up, what does it do to it. They put it in an acid, they see how it affected, what the effects are of putting it in an acid. And then they put it in water and see how it behaves in water. Okay? That's all the three tests they do. So then what I do is I mix the two. Okay? Can you pick out the different parts in there? Calcium carbonate and sugar? Can you pick out? No. Okay? Now this would look like it'd be homogeneous, right? But the particles are so small that, they're not mixed thoroughly. Solids can't mix thoroughly in this form. So what they have to do now is they have to separate those. They got to go through a process of separating those based upon the three little experiments they did with them individually. So we'll see how it goes. First time I've done it. I think they'll do okay. But it's a process. They need to separate them now. They got to go through a process of separating those two solids out. If they can do that, they do it physically. You have to do it physically. Can't do it chemically, because if you do it chemically, then what happens is you change the substance, and it's no longer the original substance. So that's called a chemical change, and they don't want to do that. So we have two types of mixtures. Now, we have some that are called homogeneous. Students get these mixed up, and something heterogeneous means different. Homogeneous means the same. So you think homogeneous means it looks the same throughout. Does that make sense? It looks identical throughout, the same. Heterogeneous means it looks different at different spots. Looks different. So homogeneous means the same throughout. Heterogeneous means different throughout. There are homogeneous that we call solution. Now if I say a solution, I mean homogeneous mixture. If I say homogeneous mixture, solution. So a lot of times in chemistry we have solutions. Go ahead and grab the calcium carbonate solution. This means it's water mixed with calcium carbonate. It's a mixture. Okay? And it's homogeneous because I can't pick out one part from another. So homogeneous means it's going to be equal throughout, and heterogeneous means it's going to be not that case. It's not equal throughout. So I try to make things as simple as I can terminology-wise so that you guys can grasp it. But homogeneous means they're mixed equally. No matter where you look, they're going to have the same composition. Okay? And heterogeneous is an unequal mixture. So I'm going to give you a key down below how you can tell or differentiate between the two. Alright? So homogeneous, when you look at it, they look like one phase. Alright? You can't see the different parts of the mixture. Look like one phase and can't pick out the different parts. Okay? Well, heterogeneous, you can pick out the different parts. Okay? So, two or more phases. Can pick out the different parts. I'm getting low here, but that's okay. All right. That's all the time I thought maybe we'd get some physical and chemical properties in that. We'll do that tomorrow. So I'm going to give you a sheet. A lot of this you just have the terminology. You just have to be, a little bit about the substances. So on the front side, it's called classification of matter. I've given you 25. So you can't see it. I mean, some of these things you're familiar with, and you go, oh, okay, remember what that looks like. Oh, yeah, I can pick out the different parts. So that would be heterogeneous. Or if it's on the periodic table as an element, or if it's something you know is a compound, like carbon dioxide, water, some of those type of things, then you know it's a compound. So let's see how well you do on these 25. Okay, and then also I'll give your test to you. You can look it over. But I'll need to get it back. So get this completed for tomorrow, completion grade. And then we'll go over this tomorrow. So what we'll do tomorrow is we'll go over physical and chemical properties. So, tomorrow, we'll go over physical and chemical properties. Okay. And then give them examples of those in class. And then we'll do that part for Wednesday. Okay? Alright. So we won't go on to temperature and that. We'll do that part. Okay. Then I'll hand back your test. You can look through it real quick. And then tomorrow, if you have more questions on that, I'll probably give it back to you tomorrow.